Welcome back, everyone. This is Dave from Corn Productions with my co-host Stacie here to talk about Teacup, Season 1, Episode 1, titled Think About the Bubbles. And we also have Episode 2 as well. And the episode title for that
My Little Lighthouse.
My Little Lighthouse.
Yes.
The episode description for Episode 1, we're going to be dealing with that for the next little while, is there's something in the air at the, Chenoweth's isolated farm clinic. The animals are acting strangely and the humans are uneasy. Maggie is doing her best to avoid a tense conversation with her husband, James, when her son, Arlo, goes missing. Arlo is the correct pronunciation for that,
yes,
right? Okay.
Yes.
The rest of the family, including grandmother Ellen and daughter Meryl, join the search along with several neighbors. The episode was written by Ian McCullough. He also created the series. And this was based on a book by Robert McCammon. I'm not really familiar with that book.
The book is called Stinger. I have not read it. From everything I have read for the press for this series, it's pretty loosely based on that book. So I think even people who have read the book are in for a surprise watching the series.
Okay. And the episode was directed by Evan Katz. And, of course, this creative duo was also behind Episode 2 as well.
So the way that this series is being released is in 2-episode chunks. So that's how we're going to be covering it. That's why we have 1 and 2. They're both releasing today, October 10th, on Peacup.
Peacock?
Peacock. Teacup on Peacock.
Yes.
Yeah, I promise I do know how to talk sometimes. So this is a Peacock original series.
Well, we have 160-something hours worth of podcasts to suggest that you do, in fact, know how to talk.
Usually,
I
do.
Yeah.
Usually I do.
All right, so before we go any further, I'll tell you a couple of things. One, this is not a spoiler-free podcast, so if you haven't watched the episode, I highly recommend you go and check it out, and then come back and give us a listen. Secondly, if you're listening on one of the platforms of this podcast is now available on, please follow, and feel free to check out my YouTube channel, Corn Productions, where additional content can be discovered. If you're already on my YouTube channel, please like, share, and comment, and subscribe to our channel. All right, so brand new series that we're talking about. Yes.
So this is being described as a puzzle box series, which I love. I'm super excited that different networks are really pushing into the puzzle box idea again.
Yes.
Right? They were common like maybe 10, 15 years ago, and then they kind of went out of popularity. Audiences got a little lazy, and, reality shows and stuff became the norm. And I love this kind of show.
Me too.
That just makes the audience think and pay attention, collect the clues, decipher what the heck's going on. You have to pay attention. You have to watch. You can't just be on your phone scrolling through social media and listening with half of your brain.
Right.
You won't know what's going on. And, we don't know exactly how deep the puzzles are going to get yet. We're only 2 episodes in, but it definitely feels like, stuff's going on. And,
there's some stuff going on.
And you got to use your brain to figure it out. That's where we're at. And by them calling it a puzzle box show, I'm, looking at those details, and I'm trying to decipher the clues. And, the success of From, I'm sure has something to do with this. It's another show that we cover. We're in season 3 of From right now. And you know what was weird for me is watching this. I wanted to start using the From clue bank to start filling it in. And I'm like, no, these are new clues. You can't just connect those dots. It's a whole new series, totally different network, totally different people behind it. It's like, we got to start a whole new clue board, right?
Basically. Yep. And
of course, other shows like Yellow Jackets and Dark.
Yes.
All fall in this kind of puzzle box genre, if you will.
I can't wait to join the Teacup Facebook groups, which I don't even know if they're a thing yet.
I don't think they're a thing yet. We might have to make it.
Yeah. And, have them...
Anyone who wants to talk about Teacup, you're welcome to come over to the Corman Productions group.
Yes, of course.
Where we talk about all of the shows that we love.
Yep, absolutely. All right, so your thoughts on the first 2 episodes.
It was intriguing. It was interesting. I am invested. Going into it, I was a little concerned. The first thing I was concerned about is... just, reading the press and looking at the press photos, I was like, there's a lot of people in this. There's a lot of names of characters. And I was like, am I going to be able to follow along?
Right.
It felt like it might be complicated, that there's just so many people involved. But once I watched it, they did such a great job of introducing these characters. They introduced them one family at a time. We have 3 families we're dealing with.
Yep.
But they introduced one family at a time, one character at a time even. They really did a great job, I think, in episode 1 of laying out the setting and the characters of our story.
Yeah.
And grounding us in, here's what we are dealing with.
Mm-hmm.
We don't know what we're dealing with, but here's...
Not even a clue.
Here's the point. Where and the who, anyways.
Yeah.
I'm pretty comfortable with that. And so I feel like they did a great job as far as, like, the pilot episode goes. Something we talk about a lot on this series, on our podcast, talking about different TV series, is the pilots are hard. Mm-hmm. It's hard to have a good pilot because you have to set up the story, the drama, the characters, the setting. All of this has to be introduced without it being boring.
And at the same time, it's hard to do an episode 1 podcast as well,
right?
Because you have to build all these things up and start the conversation.
We have to talk about like all of the actors for the first time, so it might feel a little bogged down because we do talk about all the actors and other things they've been in, and we have to hit on everybody because this is our first time talking about them.
Yep.
But yeah, I think they did a great job at navigating that, especially since this is it's only going to be an 8-episode first season, so they got to get to it right away, right? They don't have time to waste.
Their format is interesting, the half-hour format.
Well, so it was advertised as 8 30-minute episodes.
Yeah.
But the episodes are longer than 30 minutes.
They are definitely are.
So we
So basically episode 1 and 2 is one episode.
But also they're longer than that.
Right. Yeah.
So we watch these through a screener program, which means we're seeing them without any ads in them.
Right.
And I didn't write down the file times, but one of them I think was something like 35 minutes, and one of them was like 32 minutes or something.
Yeah, I mean, I guess it's only slightly less than normal
without
television.
Ads.
Right, yeah.
So, yeah, that's like a 45-minute, I'm guessing, episode of, if you were to compare it to traditional television with commercial breaks.
But again, it's not really airing on a network television, so it's not going to be the same deal.
Does Peacock do ads?
Or
do they have both? Do they have an ad-free and an ad version?
I'm pretty sure they do.
I don't know off the top of my head.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure there's multiple tiers. More streamers than not are doing that nowadays. So
so that's what you got to look at runtime, right? Is what is the actual runtime of the episode, and they're more than 30 minutes. But when they were saying 2 30-minute episodes, my brain was thinking, oh, that's 22 minutes.
Right.
Like if we're doing a half-hour like sitcom, that's 22 minutes of airtime.
Yes.
So these are significantly longer than I was expecting going into it.
Yeah.
It's only a few minutes shorter than an hour of television, because an hour of television is like 42 to 46 minutes.
Right.
So at 33, 35 minutes, it's really this kind of weird in-between time. Because it's too long to be a half-hour show and too short to be an hour show.
Right.
It's its own thing.
Right. Yeah.
It's doing its own thing, which is
fine
cool.
by me. Yeah. Whatever.
But we have 2 episodes to digest at a time. We're getting 2 episodes every week.
Yeah.
So that's cool.
Yes.
You don't have to just wait a whole week between each episode. You can dive right into the next episode.
Yep. All right. So just diving in, or
overall, just thoughts is music seems to be important.
Okay.
The episode titles all seem to be songs. These 2 definitely, and I didn't like dig into the other episode titles, but I glanced at them and I was like, oh yeah, I think these are all song titles.
Okay.
So that's interesting.
That is interesting.
It also makes me think about From, because I know From's very important. Music's very important in From. And,
are you going to start a playlist for the Teacup
I feel like
songs?
I need to, right? Because already in these 2 episodes, there's like, 5 or 6 songs. And it's like, if these are important, are these songs giving us some clues about what the heck's going on?
Right.
Or are they just, fun? I don't know yet, but there's definitely music. And one thing that I'm going to be paying attention to is the music as we go along.
Yep.
And, let's just jump into the story, I guess. Episode 1, Think About the Bubbles.
All right. So the episode begins in the forest with a desperate-looking woman trying to cut off something binding her hands.
She's got zip ties.
Yes. She looks bloodied and cut up, and she is Carmen, credited as Carmen in this episode?
Yeah, so we don't learn this woman's name in these 2 episodes, but based on the credits, I figured out that this is the character of Carmen Navarro. And Carmen is played by Adelina Anthony, and they are in one episode of Walker, Texas Ranger.
Okay.
And Yeah, we don't know much about this character within the context of the story, other than the fact that, like you said, she's tied up. She's not looking so great. It looks like she's maybe trying to escape a captive or something.
Yeah.
At this point.
And she starts talking in some really weird voice. She ends up cutting the binding, hearing a dog bark, and she runs off into the forest. And then we have our credits.
So I feel like she was talking a combination of a different language. I'm thinking Spanish. I'm not 100%.
It sounded kind of like Spanish.
Plus gibberish. And then words I heard, I think she was saying murder maker.
Yes.
I'm not 100% on this.
That's what it sounded like.
And we'll get other examples of this type of talking later where it's like you're trying to pinpoint these words. And it's like, is that what they're saying? How much of this is supposed to be legible? Not all of it, I don't think. It's creepy.
It is.
It's
very
creepy talking. And it makes me really wish we had subtitles, which we don't have the way we're watching this.
Yes, but when it debuts on Peacock, you can watch it again.
You can turn it on, and I don't know, are these words going to be translated for us?
Okay, well, that's a good question.
Or is it meant to be so ambiguous that nobody knows what they're saying?
Right.
But I'm pretty sure part of what she said is murder maker, which doesn't make a lick of sense to me. Even after watching these 2 episodes, I have no idea.
So when we come back from the credits, we see a bug on a window that's captured by a woman.
It's something in the bee family.
It did look like
I'm not sure if it's a hornet or a wasp or a yellow jacket or something in the bee family, something with a stinger for sure.
It's captured by a woman with a teacup with her son, and I'm guessing that this is kind of a metaphor for what's going on in this series. This is Maggie, played by Yvonne Strabowski. That's my best guess there. 41 credits for her. The most prominent is Handmaid's Tale as Serena.
Yes.
And, it's kind of funny watching that series and seeing her performance in that and watching her in this series. You gotta feel more for her range. She's quite a good actor.
She's a great actress. I love Handmaid's Tale. I love the character of Serena. And I think Yvonne's doing a great job in this role. I don't know how I feel about Maggie yet. I'm kind of not in love with her as a person. She's our lead.
Yes.
She's a strong mom.
Yep.
She's dealing with some stuff. We'll soon learn she's a veterinarian.
Yep.
I don't know. I've got some concerns for her character though. Like I'm not 100% sold she's a good person.
Okay. Well, we'll figure that out as we go. She was also on a regular on Chuck, by the way, and 17 stint episodes on Dexter.
Yes. 91 episodes of Chuck, 17 episodes of Dexter, 49 episodes of Handmaid's Tale.
Which I'm pretty sure is every episode of that series, right?
She's not in every episode.
Not every episode?
She's not credited in every episode, but lots of them.
Gotcha. So the kid, meanwhile, is Arlo, played by Caleb Dolden. 11 credits for him. The most notable for me was an episode of General Hospital.
He's also in movies such as Follow Me and End of the World. Seems like he's had a hand in like horror and thriller genres.
Yeah. So maybe that's where he's planning on staying.
And you know what? I'm super impressed by this kid.
He's definitely also a good actor.
Obviously, like, we didn't get there yet, but he's going to have some big stuff to deal with as an actor. Like, already I can tell from these 2 episodes, and he nails it. I'm super impressed with him. I think he's somebody to watch. I think Caleb's going places, just based on these 2 episodes of television. I don't know him from anything before this.
I can't wait. I'm sure we're going to end up talking about him a lot more to come in the future. So she wants her son to come listen to the bug in the teacup. Which he does reluctantly.
Which I thought was super weird. I didn't understand. What are you doing, lady? Why are you putting your ear up to a cup to listen to a bug?
I don't know, but she calls it a tempest in a teacup. And she has her, or him, bring over a piece of paper to hold on the bug as she removes the cup so that she's trapping the bug. She goes outside to let the bug go.
She says, and I found this really strange, is he's like, I can't wait to tell Dad about this.
Right.
And she goes, let's just keep this between us. Dad doesn't need to know. Why?
About a bug.
Why is this a secret from Dad? That's what really confused me.
You think this is more significant than it appears?
So I was confused. I was really confused by her being like, let's keep this a secret. what don't you want your husband to know about you letting a bug outside?
I don't think it has anything to do with anything other than the fact that it's hinting at some early tension between...
Sure, there's tension between them, but why are you going to tell your kid not to tell his father something? Usually those are reserved for important things.
Yeah, I wouldn't trust my kid with any secret. Like my kid's stepdaughter, anytime... Wow, no, I said that totally wrong. My kid's sister, not to be confused with my kid. She anytime that I ever trusted her with a secret, she sold me out within minutes. She put up no resistance whatsoever. So you really can't trust a kid with a secret in the first place. But So Tempest in a Teacup. Yes.
By the way, I had to look that up because I don't know what she's talking about.
That's actually a thing.
It's an idiom that I've never heard.
Okay.
So I looked it up, and it means a great disturbance or uproar over a matter of little or no importance.
Interesting.
So it's making a big to-do out of nothing, basically.
Okay, so I'm guessing that's not a theme for this series, necessarily. We're just saying that nothing here is important.
Well, I don't know. I don't know what that means, but it's got to mean something.
It does.
Because they're telling it to us right off the bat, and that's the name of the series, so...
Okay, so she goes outside to let the bug go. Kayla stays inside to watch her, and she wants it to stay... Oh, yeah, I already said that. So she visits her daughter, who just smiles at her. This is Meryl, played by Emily Bier.
Sure.
22 credits for her. Most recently, guest starring in Law and Order Toronto: Criminal Intent. So
I noticed that most of her
there's
credits are French.
Yes, I noticed
they
that as well.
They are French titles that I'm not going to attempt to say. So I'm assuming she is of French descent, or maybe living in. She's. You said Toronto was her last name?
Toronto, yes.
So she's probably Canadian and living in a French-speaking part of Canada.
Yeah,
would
probably
be my best guess.
She herself doesn't sound like she has any kind of accent.
She doesn't. So that potentially is her doing a really good job. I don't know. I'm not familiar with this actress at all. I don't think I've ever seen any of her other work.
And then Maggie goes down, it is Maggie, right?
Maggie.
Yeah. Maggie goes downstairs.
Brand new series, folks.
Yeah.
It's gonna take us some time to get used to talking about new people.
Yeah. She sees her mother-in-law, Ellen, listening to music, and she looks like she wants to say something, but she doesn't end up doing it. She's played by Kathy Baker, 114 credits, including Street Smart, 42 episodes of The Ranch, and Edward Scissorhands.
She was also in 13 Going on 30. Love that movie.
Oh, yeah.
She was in 3 episodes of Colony, which is that was a good show. Have you ever heard of that one?
I have.
It's
I don't think I saw it, but
oh my goodness, it's got people whose names aren't coming to my head. The guy that played Sawyer on Lost.
Okay.
Whose name's escaping me at the moment.
I can't remember his name either.
And Sarah Wayne Callies from The Walking Dead.
Okay.
They're the 2 stars of that show. It's about a futuristic world that aliens have kind of taken over all society, and it's really weird.
Oh, okay.
She was also in the movie The Art of Racing in the Rain, which was a movie Donald Hang, who's somebody we've interviewed.
Yes, yeah.
He was in that movie along with Milo
Ventimiglia.
There you go.
Who was also a regular on
This Is Us.
Yes. And that was also an NBC show, so that's pretty cool. So she goes out to talk to her husband, James, played by Scott Speedman. 46 credits for him. I remember him in the movie Dark Blue. That was like towards the beginning of his career. 36 episodes of Grey's Anatomy and 26 episodes of Animal Kingdom.
He also is in 9 episodes of You.
Yes.
And 84 episodes of Felicity.
Okay.
So I'm assuming that means he was a regular in that show. Before we get to this scene too much, I just want to comment the song. You said that Ellen was listening to music.
Yes.
So, again, I'm paying attention to music. She's listening to Neil Young's Everybody Knows This Is Nowhere.
Oh, okay.
Which, also, I have to bring this up. It's one of the From jukebox songs. It played on From.
Oh, so your playlist is going to be very similar to From, I guess.
I mean, yeah. And we know, that song fits From. They're in a place that shouldn't exist.
Right.
I don't know. How tight is that going to fit with this series? Where are we?
Well,
we're going to be in some some bubble pretty soon.
Yeah, we're getting under the dome vibes here.
Right.
So, their conversation is about the animals freaking. I guess there's like a storm coming, or was a storm at some point.
They don't really know what's going on with the animals, but the animals are acting really weird. And he said he was up in the loft of the bar, and he was cleaning up a submarine fort that he made for Arlo, and he is going to paint the tea party setup for Meryl, even though she doesn't use it anymore. And so one of the animals particularly was spooked. Ginger the goat. And maybe this is one of the reasons that I'm being a little hard on Maggie, is he goes, should I take her down to the clinic so you can check her out? Mm-hmm. And Maggie's response is, I already closed everything down for the weekend.
Ah.
So you're a vet.
Right.
This is your own animal.
Yes.
Who's in distress.
Mm-hmm.
And you're not going to check her out because it's the weekend?
I guess not. The goat doesn't need to live, I guess.
So that struck me as weird.
Uh-huh.
Like, why are you not showing concern for your own animal?
Right. There's also some hints at marital trouble here. Hints at some conflict with Ellen that we won't get into now.
Yeah, she said he's like, did you make up with Mom? And
yeah.
She's like, not yet, but I will. Okay.
And, when we find out what that's about, it seems like a nothing of a problem. But
we see that, like, just like you said, there's been tension. Everybody's been kind of fighting. And we're going to quickly learn why. Which I picked up those vibes very quickly. I don't know if you did.
I mean, I eventually did, for sure. So they separate, and as Arlo watches, she releases the bug. She wanders off, but he is still looking through the window and notices that the goat is going into the woods. She goes into the barn to deal with the agitated horses. She doesn't notice her son going off into the woods at the same time.
Yeah, he leaves, goes off into the woods to follow the goat, and he's calling out. He's calling out for Mr. Goat. And then we see that crazy woman in the woods, Carmen, is watching him.
Maggie ends up making peace with Ellen, who apparently she called an addled, pot-smoking woman. Whatever their conflict is here is squashed. She visits her daughter, quizzes her on whatever she's studying, which sounds like basically veterinarian science.
Okay, back up for just 1 second.
Okay.
Apparently Ellen just moved in with them.
Yes.
So they're still adjusting to Grandma living with them. And the reason that she's smoking so much pot is because she's ill. And I didn't write down what her illness was. I want to say like MS.
That makes sense.
One of those type of things.
Yep.
And Maggie's basically like, my problem's not with you. Like, she's fighting with her husband. That's the deal. And as she's fighting with her husband, she had an issue with his mom moving in. I mean, that's what it came down to.
Right.
But she's like, no, I don't have a problem with you. I'm glad you're here, and that's great for the kids. And, you're not the one I have an issue with. And she's like, the dinner you just made smells delicious, and I'm going to go get the kids for dinner. And so that's when she went up and talked to Meryl. And her problem with Meryl is that Meryl is listening to music while studying.
Oh, okay.
And she's like, that's not going to help you study. And so Meryl's response to that was to quote a whole monologue from Romeo and Juliet.
Okay.
And Maggie was like, well, that was great. And it was impressive, by the way. It was an impressive little monologue. I was like, okay.
Yeah.
What's your name? Ellie? That's the actress, I think.
Emily?
I have an E-L, but I could have typed that wrong.
I have Emily.
I'll double check that for next week.
E-M-I-L-L.
So, and then she's like, okay, that's great, but, like, can you tell me? And then she asked her a question about something about an animal, about, like, the heart chambers of a horse or something like that. And she just recites it right off, right? So,
this is a genius.
Meryl is a smart kid. She's doing great, and Maggie's impressed, and she's like, awesome job. So that's what we're getting is, you don't need to worry that I'm listening to music while studying because I'm doing just fine.
And then she ends up asking about Arlo, which Meryl has no clue about. She has no idea where Arlo is. And she goes back downstairs, and still nothing from Arlo. James thinks he's just hiding. He's completely blasé about this whole
apparently
thing.
That's something he's been doing is, like, doing jump scares on them. And so, like, hiding and jumping out. And he's like, yeah, he's around here somewhere. And then a truck with a horse trailer approaches.
Yep.
Honking excessively. Maggie announces, and Maggie's family, again, is the Chenoweth family that we just met. We're about to meet our second family.
That would be the Shanleys.
The Shanley family, and that's what Maggie announces. She says the Shanleys are here, and James is not happy by this news.
No.
He's like, ugh.
Right. Ellen goes to look for Ario. They come with some horses. Their horses are not in good shape, apparently. Basically they want to have the horses taken a look at.
So we've got 3 people in this family. We have Reuben is the dad. The mom is Valeria, and their teenage son, Nicholas.
Yep.
And with them is their horse, Scout, who is not only freaking out, but he has injured himself, and that's why they're here, because, again, Maggie is a veterinarian, and they're like, we need some emergency care.
So she goes to take care of that. James goes upstairs to goes into the house to look for his son. Nicholas shares a drink with Ellen, and they listen to music. You know, the fact that... This is the one thing that drives me crazy about this episode. The fact that their son is missing is downplayed way too much. Like he
hasn't come to dinner. It's only been 1 minute.
Okay. Yeah, I guess.
I mean,
but it continues to be like, even when they're like looking through the woods, it's like, they're joking around. Like, all right, why aren't you guys a little bit more...
Sure. The situation, maybe
nobody
should escalate it. But at this point, it's been a minute. Maggie has work to do now. Go find the kid. There's 6 people here. The kid's here somewhere. Is he hiding in a closet? I don't know. Let's go through the Shanley family. Reuben is played by Chasky Spencer.
Yep.
He's in 9 episodes of Blind Spot. He was in an episode of The Society.
Ooh.
That was the one where all the teenagers were locked in a town that doesn't exist.
Gotcha.
Similar themes a lot with these shows.
Mm-hmm.
He was in all of the Twilight Saga movies.
Okay.
And the mom of Valeria is played by Dani Rodriguez. She's in 25 episodes of The Blacklist. She was in 2 episodes of The Outsider.
Okay,
3 episodes
that's a pretty good series,
of
by the way.
The Purge.
Mm-hmm.
An episode of Manifest. And an episode of NCIS New Orleans.
Oh, it's Scott Bakula.
Yeah. I found a lot of things I wanted to mention for her.
Gotcha.
And the son, Nicholas, is played by Luciano LaRue. He is in 16 episodes of Yellow Jackets.
So it's I've seen him before. I've watched that series.
And 1 episode of A Million Little Things.
Okay.
Yeah. So that's the setup. Is Reuben is off with Maggie to take care of the horse, and we had this first scene between Valeria and James, and I instantly knew what was up with them.
Yeah.
Instantly, from the first moment they looked at each other.
Wow.
I had to figure it out. They're sleeping together.
Yeah.
They're having an affair, and so Reuben looks at her, and she just shakes her head, no. And what she's telling him is, no, my husband doesn't know. He's worried that's why they're here.
Right.
Is because people know stuff.
Right.
So she's like, no, it's not out.
No, not yet.
Not
but
yet.
Maggie's going to know by the end of this episode.
And Nicholas, he's just really worried about the horse because he's the one who found the horse. The horse is in bad shape. So he's trying to explain what happened. Something about it started hitting its head on the fence and freaking out. Let's see. Meryl is on brother searching duty. She's looking for Arlo in the barn.
And so they end up in the kitchen. Nicholas ends up sharing a drink with Ellen, and they end up listening to music.
So Ellen pours a drink for the women.
Yep.
And then she ends up sneaking it to Nicholas when as soon as Mom walks away, she sneaks a drink for him. And they
end up hearing a terrible noise.
We hear another Neil Young song.
Mm-hmm.
This song is "The Loner on the Phone." I'm not too particularly knowledgeable about Neil Young music, but apparently that's what Ellen likes to listen to. So "The Loner on the Phone" plays. Nicholas recognizes it, which impresses Ellen. So we're gonna have this friendship, right, between the grandma character and this teenage boy. We're already seeing this bond between them, right? And the radio kicks out and it does this weird thing. And Nicholas is like, yeah, I was doing that in the car earlier too. So something's happening with the radio waves. They're getting this weird connection and feedback that doesn't really make any sense to them. And she tells him that when she deals with scary situations, and she's talking about, the kid being missing, but he's more freaking out about the music. She says what she likes to do is she says the thing that's scary, and then she adds a but to it and says something positive.
Ah.
So, like, and I don't have an example of what she said.
I just got stabbed, but it doesn't hurt that bad.
Right. But,
okay.
Yeah, maybe not
that extreme.
Not a deathly situation, but just something that scares you.
Okay, so, I am on a ladder, and I'm afraid of heights, but I haven't fallen yet?
Sure, Dave.
Okay.
This whole thing reminds me of two things.
Okay.
It reminded me of the worst case scenario game.
Yes.
That Randall and Beth play in This Is Us.
Ah, yes.
And in Lost, remember Jack's whole, I'm going to allow myself to be scared for 5 seconds.
Yep.
And then I won't be scared anymore. It reminded me of both of those things. Like the ways of just dealing with being scared of something. Having a, what's the word? Like a method, of how you're going to deal with your problems. And so she's saying This Is Hers is just to always add a positive spin to it. Always give it a but.
Right.
And it seemed to work,
Yeah.
And she said something like, this is really scary, but I've got this booze to wash it away. And she walks away, and then Nicholas sneaks another drink.
So we cut to the barn. Maggie is preparing to help the horse, and it seems to be relatively okay. Maggie is stitching up the wound with Reuben, and she offers to show him how to do it. But then there's another wound.
Yeah, she notices there's a stick
in
the side of his head that she didn't see before, and she looks worried. And we'll get back to that in a little bit.
That does not seem very good at all. James has a very suspicious conversation with Valerie. If you haven't picked up on the fact that they're sleeping together, you will.
Is this where you picked up on it?
Yes.
Okay.
This is where
so he specifically says he wants to make sure that she hasn't told her husband anything. But they're interrupted by Meryl, who walks in on the conversation. Because remember, she was checking out the barn. She noticed a goat's missing, too. So now the son and a goat is missing. And
Meryl ends up asking, should we be worried? The answer is yes, you should be worried. If you can't find him in the house, that means he's in the woods somewhere. Or outside somewhere in the dark. So that's not a good situation.
So James and Meryl, though, they're kind of relieved that the goat's missing. Because they use it to come to the conclusion that he's in the woods looking for the goat. And now we know where he is, so it's fine. Is kind of how they're taking it.
Well, except for the fact that the woods are a very big place.
Right.
And he could be anywhere.
Right.
And, there's things out in the woods that maybe could attack your son. So maybe you should be a little bit more concerned.
Maybe. Valeria tells us that Don Kelly called this morning asking if they'd seen his dog Duke, who never leaves the wife Claire's side but ran off today. And this is her way of being like, yeah, something really weird's going on. Like with all these animals acting crazy. And
then we cut to Arlo in the woods. Arlo. He encounters the bloodied woman who chases after him. And then we cut to Meryl going into the woods with Nicholas, who seems unconcerned about Arlo missing. He's too busy trying to flirt with Meryl because he's high. She paints her less than stellar family life. There's a lot of problems in this family. And he makes a joke. What do you call a banana eating a banana? Canna-bananabalism or something like that.
Canna-bananaism.
I'm going to use that one, by the way. It's going to be Dad Joke of the Day, which I haven't done in forever, but it's going to be Dad
Teacup edition.
Exactly.
Well, I feel like he's going to give us a dad joke every episode because we get one in episode 2 as well.
Yeah. Yep.
But yeah, he's basically like, your family's really cool, and she's like, nah.
Right.
And then she calls him out. She's like, what are you trying to do? You're complimenting my family. You're telling jokes.
Right.
She's picked up on the fact that he likes her and he's flirting with her. And he completely deflects and starts calling out for Arlo, remembering like why they're in the woods.
Right. Yeah, by the way, time and a place for this kind of conversation, maybe.
I feel like they're going to get a lot of that, a lot of time.
Yeah, probably. So, Maggie has to pull something out of the horse.
Right, so the stick. And she says it could have nicked his jugular.
Yes.
If it did, there's nothing she can do.
So, is not leaving the object in an option?
No, you can't just leave a stick in the middle of the horse's face perpetually.
Well, why not? I mean, if you take it out, it's gonna die. So, I mean, if you take it out and it's in the jugular, it's gonna die.
Okay, do you want to just live with a stick sticking out of the side of your face?
I guess I would.
You can't just live like that forever. You have to take care of the problem.
Okay.
And, you know, she is the vet. This is the last line of care right here.
Right. Yeah. So if I ever have a stick coming out of my head, take it out. You can't.
Let the doctor take it out.
Okay, yes.
She's the doctor in this case.
Yep.
She said they have no choice but to pull it out and see, and it's this big tension scene, and she does it, and the horse is fine.
Yay! So Bowery and James search the woods.
Valeria.
Yeah.
So if you guys are new here, Dave is worse at words than I am,
Yes.
especially names.
It becomes apparent that she and him slept together.
Yeah, they specifically spell it out at this
Yeah.
point.
Maggie knows that there was an affair, but not with whom, though she will definitely get a hint by the end
And
of it.
Valeria's like, well, it's only a matter of time before she knows, like, that it was me.
Right.
And he totally changed the subject. This threw me the first time I watched this episode, because he's like, I'd be worried if I hadn't been here before. And I'm like, what is this? Are you saying this isn't your first affair and she didn't figure it out the first time? But he's not talking about that anymore.
No.
He's talking about this isn't his first time a kid is missing. So, he completely changes the subject and dismisses what they're talking about. And he tells a story about how before Arlo was born, Meryl went missing. And they searched everywhere for her. They called the police. And then they found her hiding in the oven because she had just finished listening to Hansel and Gretel and wanted to see if she fit in the oven. She got stuck because the door was too heavy, and then fell asleep.
That's a really interesting place to fall asleep. But that's kind of interesting because I had a similar experience.
Did you?
Well, not with a kid. I didn't.
Okay.
Julia was never asleep in an oven. But when we first moved, me and my ex-wife, when we first moved into our apartment, we couldn't find the cats anywhere.
Okay.
And we were searching everywhere, couldn't find them anywhere. And then I randomly opened up the oven shelf underneath, and all 4 cats were just like chilling out there.
All 4?
Yes.
How'd that happen?
I have no idea, but somehow they were all there. And they'd been hiding there all day because I literally did not see them the entire day. Fortunately, we never turned on the oven, and we didn't, end up having to barbecue some cats.
I know, like, this is scary, right?
Yes, yeah.
Like, how often do you just turn on an oven to preheat it?
Without looking inside?
Like,
Absolutely.
you don't just look at an oven to see if there's, somebody inside it.
No, you generally do not have to do that. So easily...
Maybe we should start doing that.
I mean... If you turned on an oven and it started heating up, you would think the kid would probably react to that before things got really
but
bad.
Still,
Yeah,
this story creeps me out.
Yeah, I feel that, definitely. But, so this story is going to end up being repeated, by the way, later on. Apparently, yeah, so they run into Meryl and Nicholas with the missing Kelly dog.
Yeah, they have the dog Duke, and...
But no sign of Arlo.
And they also have the goat. So they found the goat and the dog.
Just not the kid, which I think would be the more important thing here.
Right. She's like, I found the goat!
And they hear something that tells James, they basically see a dog or something.
They think it's a coyote
Yeah.
at this point. They see what they think's a coyote, and they just kind of head back to the house, because that's scary.
Right. They have every other animal in the world, but they don't have their son.
Yeah, so we're good.
Yeah.
We got a goat and a dog. We can stop looking for the kid.
So Arlo is laying on the ground with his...
He's completely unresponsive.
Yep. And then the strange woman who's cut up...
Carmen. She stands over him.
Is she standing over him?
She
or
stands over him, like super
I thought she was kind of like kneeling over him.
creepy.
Yeah.
She's got a bad stomach wound, by the way. Her
Yeah.
stomach's like gushing blood that she's holding. And then she she leans over his face and opens her mouth in a more like wider than seems humanly possible way.
It's kind of like a snake. Like that kind of unhinges her jaw or something along those lines.
And then we see something leave her eyes.
Right. And now it's
transfer into his eyes.
Right.
So something was possessing her, for lack of a better word to describe this, and now it's in him.
Yes. Yep. So that's not a good sign. And we cut to Donald Kelly, who's driving up, and he's played by Boris McGiver. And I know him from The Servant. He was in a couple episodes of that. He was an important character there. And he was good in that series.
He also is in 16 episodes of Evil and 30 episodes of House of Cards.
Evil is a show I want to check out at some point because it has a lot of actors in
It pops up a lot,
Yeah.
doesn't it, for us?
So James thinks he saw a coyote, but Donald tells him that it was a dog and that it was rabid. And by the way, his wife is with him as well.
The wife, her name is Claire. She's
Yep.
played by Holly A. Morris. She was in 4 episodes of Stranger Things and 2 episodes of Nashville.
So Boris wants to go in with a gun.
Donald.
Oh, yeah. Well, I mean, technically that's true as well. But yeah, Arlo. Man.
You got a new name, kid. Sorry.
Right. Yeah, I swear when we do 3 and 4 of the series that I'll be better at this, I promise.
I don't know if you can promise that.
Well, I will promise that I will get these specific characters right.
Eventually.
Yeah, eventually. By the end of this, by the end of the season, I will be getting their names right. So yeah, he emerges from the forest talking nonsense. It sounds like a different language before collapsing. The old lady cries out in the forest. I don't know why I'm referring to her as an old lady in my notes here.
I don't think she's that old. She's like our age.
Yeah. But
she's like 40s or 50s.
yeah, she's talking in Spanish, I think. The dog...
She, again said murder maker, or what I think is that. And then she also said run, hide.
And she encounters the dog.
Oh, I'm sorry. That was Arlo that said that. I'm just got that all wrong.
Okay, so that doesn't happen until episode 2.
No, it happens like in the next second. But it wasn't her that said it. It was Arlo that said it.
Gotcha.
He starts mumbling the same way Carmen had.
Yeah, gotcha. And a car drives up to the farm wearing a gas mask and seemingly starts drawing some kind of line. That's the end of episode 1.
Yeah, the gas mask man is pouring... It looked like neon blue... Not even paint, like a liquid, but it was blue tinted like a... like windshield washer fluid colored.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Where it's like not solid, but it's blue.
Right.
It's like that, but it is like kind of neon at the same time.
Yeah.
And he draws this line down the road, and the song "Think About the Bubbles" starts playing, which of course is the name of this episode.
Right. And then episode 2, titled My Little Lighthouse. The episode description for that: with no cell service and the power out, the Chenoweths and their neighbors desperately seek help. Maggie realizes something very strange is going on with Arlo. Well, what's your clue?
Yeah.
But anyway.
So what had happened? So order of events is before was he said those things. Then we saw Carmen waking up in the woods.
Gotcha.
But it was just like in my notes in the same little blurb.
Gotcha.
So episode 2, we have a previously on segment, and then we immediately cut to opening credits. There's no cold open.
Right. Which is unusual.
It is unusual, right?
Yeah.
They're getting right into it. They're like, okay, let's jump right into the next story.
Right. Yep. And we
start with another Neil Young song.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
This one is Don't Let It Bring You Down. Yeah, I'm definitely going to need to at least make a list of these songs because there's a lot of them.
And I guess you're going to have to become a Neil Young fan.
I guess.
Listen to all his songs. So we begin with flickering lights and a man observing the scene in a gas mask from a distance. After the commercials, after the commercials?
It was probably just a cut.
Okay. So
you inserted commercials that don't exist, I guess.
So they're trying to reach the authorities.
They're trying to call 911. There's no signal. But now the light's flickering. It's literally every light.
Yeah.
All of the property lights, the vehicle lights.
Right.
Anything that has a light on it is flickering in unison.
James runs to get to his car.
Super creepy.
Yeah. And I really like when James goes and runs to get to his car, and we see the lights just like flickering in basically a line. It's pretty cool. The lights in the garage are going nuts.
So yeah, his truck won't start.
Yep.
Ruben's truck won't start.
Yep.
Donald's like, I'll get you to the hospital, but guess what?
His car also does not start.
It won't start either. We got 3 families here. None of their vehicles are working. They don't seem to think that's weird.
Yeah, I would certainly be concerned about that. The power goes completely out now, and they all go inside.
Yeah, so they take Arlo inside, and vet mommy's going to take care of it since we can't get him to the hospital. Except
for Donald, who sounds like he's going to go hunting for whatever hurt Arlo.
Yeah. So whoever. So Arlo had some marks on his hands. They've come to the conclusion that somebody hurt him while he was in the woods. And they don't think it was the dog. But then there's also the coyote dog, whatever it was, to take care of as well. But Arlo's hurt. They think there's a person that did this to him. So James and Reuben, their plan is they're going to saddle up the horses, drive over to the Shanley house, and get Valeria's car. Because none of their cars work. Hers must, right?
Right.
So they're going to go get her car. And Donald says he's going to go in the woods to keep whoever did this busy until James gets back with the police.
Gotcha.
So he's got his gun. He's
Rambo?
He's not somebody I want to cross in the woods.
You don't want to encounter this guy in the woods?
Yeah, like this, he's going to go do some damage.
Yeah.
He's basically like, well, I don't know if, the police are going to help you, but I'll keep this dude busy until you get back with him. And
his wife is not thrilled with this, Claire.
Claire doesn't want him to go.
No.
I mean, there's stuff, if there's a dude in there kidnapping children, that's bad. We also know there's a coyote or a rabid dog or something bad in there. The lights are doing some really weird stuff. Maybe just going by yourself in the woods isn't a great idea. Yeah,
but he wants to go in and play Arnold Schwarzenegger.
But James is happy for this. We get the impression James doesn't usually agree with Donald, but he's like, you know what? Great, thank you.
I was kind of wondering if he was being sincere there, or if he was like being sarcastic, like along the lines of, "Yeah, go ahead and get yourself killed. I don't care." Scott Speedman's line reading there is kind of ambiguous. I kind of found I don't know how he meant that line.
I took it as he's grateful that this man wants to help protect his family.
Okay.
Because they think there's a threat here. So if you want to deal with the threat, great. That threat's not going to come in my house and hurt my family any further.
So Maggie ends up examining Arlo in the bathroom, and he seems not seriously hurt.
Yeah, she said the blood on him isn't his, but she thinks he has a concussion.
Which is what causes Arlo to speak. He says that he doesn't, and this ends up relieving everybody that he's speaking now, because he previously was not.
Yeah, he basically doesn't know what's going on. He doesn't know where he is, what happened. He doesn't know how he got here. And Meryl calls him a faker looking for attention, like, oh, you were just pretending, haha, you're a faker. And Valeria, who's in the room with them,
she brings up the oven story.
She's like, aren't you the one that hid in an oven just for attention?
Well, wasn't that Meryl?
She's talking to Meryl. So Meryl's calling.
Okay.
Meryl's calling out Arlo for faking, and she's like, "Well, I mean, you're one to talk. Didn't you do this when you were a kid?"
This right here, you can see the moment that Maggie realizes
absolutely
that this is the one. Yep.
Because Meryl goes telling, hinting us in on what Mom's dealing with. She goes, "Mom, I thought that was a secret."
Right.
Oh.
Yeah.
Maybe you shouldn't speak up, Valeria, and say things that maybe you shouldn't know about.
Yep.
So Maggie now knows exactly who her husband's sleeping with.
Right. And it's a nice, subtle little moment for sure.
You see it in her eyes, and we'll address it again later. She'll point it out exactly how she knows. But yeah, and she's like, okay, let me deal with my kid. But yeah,
right. So I kind of see her as being pragmatic, almost like she has this situation with her husband. But she's more, she's dealing more with her son's situation.
Well, that's what we've been told, like all through episode 1 when they were looking for Arlo, is she's her best under stress. If there's a problem, she is great at focusing on the problem. Right.
She doesn't think that Arlo is faking it. She has everyone doing something. She
sent everyone out of the room so she could talk to Arlo alone. But he says he doesn't know what happened, and she's like, well, that's okay.
But he ends up saying, I do know one thing, that we need to go. He starts babbling nonsense.
Yeah, he starts doing the thing again, talking weird, and murder maker, chanting that again, and he runs out of the bathroom.
He ends up hitting Nicholas,
who gets injured in the process.
But he ends up getting restrained by his mother.
Yeah, she tackles him, and Meryl goes to tend to Nicholas's injuries. They're not having a great time in that upstairs hallway.
They're straight up not having a good time, dudes.
Meanwhile, Ellen, Valeria, and Claire are in the kitchen.
They're all very anxious. Claire thinks that maybe Arlo could have hurt himself, but Ellen denies that. And Ellen relates a story from childhood about having cat scratch fever. She is basically saying that weird things sometimes happens to kids, and sometimes it works out.
And she's like, and they end up fine.
Claire is quick to be like, And then sometimes it's not.
Right.
Well, thanks. You're kind of missing the point
Yeah,
of
she
sharing
says
the story.
sometimes it's not fine.
Right. Sometimes people die. Like, she's...
For a moment when I first saw this scene, I thought maybe Claire had lost a child. But I don't think we're going there.
No, I'm not sure what Claire's deal is, but she
doesn't want to be here, for sure.
Right, yeah.
Her first suggestion is she says she's going to take her dog, walk home, and call 911 from their landline. But Ellen's like, everyone just needs to stay put. Like, nobody else needs to go walking around the woods. And we don't know how far apart these people live, but they all drove here, so they can't be too close. They're not, like, 10 feet away. This is a farm. You know, we've got probably a lot of land between their properties.
So, Mary ends up helping Nicholas. He's got, like, a head wound.
Who?
Meryl.
Meryl. Okay, I'm like, who's Mary?
It's because I left out the L in my notes. I scratched up these notes pretty quickly this week. If you don't know, we have quite a busy October planned, and I had to prepare 4 episodes worth of television for this week's podcast, or podcast, as it turns out. And my notes for this week are not particularly great, but I will improve upon them next week, I promise.
Okay.
But he's got a head wound. Nicholas admits to being scared. He's freaked about all the things that are going on, and then he ends up telling a joke. What do you call a bird too afraid to fly? Chicken.
Now, I think that one is a much better joke than the banana one.
I also like the banana one, too, though.
I like this one.
But then again, I like this one, too. This is a better joke, for sure.
So, yes, I think we're getting a Nicholas dad joke every episode.
I am totally down for it. Let's do this thing. And I'll do Teacup edition dad jokes all month long, if that's the case. So
Meryl admits that she is petrified too, and he says they can be petrified together.
Aw, I'm sensing a love connection here. Ruben and James notice a man on the property in a car, and they run out to him. He gets out of his car and has a board to communicate with them.
Like a whiteboard.
Yeah. The message says, "Do not cross the line." He takes out a gun to emphasize his point when James starts to try to approach him. And meanwhile, Arlo with Maggie continues to act completely nuts.
He takes the scissors that she used to cut the gauze and starts like swinging them through the air towards her. So this is him, the possessed him. And I don't know how to even refer to this, but you can clearly see these distinctions between like when he is Arlo and when he is whatever is possessing him.
Right.
And he starts speaking in tongues again. And I was trying to catch all the things, but it was run, hide, something I didn't catch, gun, shot, run, hide, woman, go.
Makes a lot of sense to me.
So whatever this is, I think just doesn't have great communication skills and doesn't know how to speak a lot of words is what's happening.
Maybe it's trying to get used to its human forms.
Maybe.
So,
she tackles the scissors out of his hands.
Yeah.
And Arlo wakes up again and he goes, "It's not me, Mom. I'm not doing this."
Right.
What's happening? I'm scared.
I am too.
And again, fantastic job that this kid is doing. Acting basically a dual part.
Yeah. Yep. He's got a bright future ahead of him for sure. Donald walks the forest on the hunt, talking to himself.
I just want to go back one more second to Arlo and Mom because she tells him something very important here before that scene.
Yeah. I don't even know why I don't have that in my notes.
She tells him, that she's scared too, and he's like, "When have you ever been scared?" She says, "I've been scared plenty of times, including when your sister was lost." And he doesn't remember that, but it's because he wasn't born yet. So this is where she tells him the story of finding Meryl in the oven.
Yep.
And she says she was so scared that she made Dad promise to never, ever tell anyone else about it.
Oh.
It was their secret.
So that's why she reacted that way.
Right.
Also realizing that that's someone he's sleeping with.
Because, this particular thing was a super, super family secret.
Right.
They were never supposed to tell anyone.
Right.
So if he told her that story, they're obviously very close.
Right. And I had this note here about that, and I didn't understand what it meant. So
you skipped it.
Yeah, basically. So, Donald walks in the forest on a hunt, talking to himself.
Oh, and Arlo, by the way, starts singing My Little Lighthouse.
Oh,
this
the title of the episode.
Title.
Yep.
Yeah. And grabs a teacup. A lot of stuff happened here. He's got a grabs the teacup and starts putting marbles inside of it. And he says, he's a little lighthouse. And Maggie looked freaked out. And I don't know why. I mean, obviously because, he's possessed or whatever, but she looked particularly freaked out about the teacup and the marbles. And I didn't understand what was going on with the teacup and the marbles. Because obviously teacup's important.
Right.
Because it's the name of the series.
Yes.
But I didn't connect the dots of what he's doing with this teacup and what it's got to do with a lighthouse.
Well, maybe it'll be explained in the next couple episodes.
Maybe. Okay, now you can move on. I'm sorry.
So Donald stumbles upon the bloodied woman, and she looks very, very dead. And then...
she's dead. This is a body. She did not survive after whatever possessed her left her.
Which should concern you.
Or actually, no, it was the dog, right? Like, after that, the dog had come up to her at the end of the last episode.
Yes. So it wasn't the fact that she was possessed by this thing. It was the fact that she was eaten by the dog.
All of these things happened at the same time. So
right.
It was not a good day for Carmen.
No, and her last day, as it turns out.
And also, remember, somebody had bound her and tied her up.
Yeah.
Were they after her? Were they after whatever creature, demon thing was inside of her?
Maybe they were trying to restrain her because of her possession.
Right.
For some reason.
But we don't know.
Right.
So that's the thing, is we've got different forces here. Something that somebody, physical person, restrained her.
Right.
So there's somebody involved here. And also, whatever this possession is it bad? We don't actually know that. It's telling, the family they need to run and hide.
Right.
So...
Maybe it's on the forces of... maybe it's on our side.
Right, maybe.
Or on these guys' side. I don't know that I'm on these people's side yet.
Well, I mean, we should be on the people's side in general.
He then encounters the coyote and dog, and that's not a good situation for him. The masked man indicates a circle with the two of them inside, specifically James and Reuben. James insists that they need the car, but the masked man ends up pointing a gun in the air and shoots. Meanwhile, Doyle is being chased by a dog.
Donald.
Wow. Where did I come up with Doyle?
I don't know.
Man. Okay, anyway. The dog ends up beyond the circle.
So they end up on the ground.
Yeah.
He's got the dog on top of him, and he throws it.
Yeah.
It goes outside the blue line.
And it dies horribly.
I had such a hard time finding words to describe what happens here.
It twists inside.
It howls in pain.
Yeah.
And it starts, and I have question marks, disintegrating, burning. Parts of its body disappear.
Right.
Quite rapidly. Looks charred and burned. Other parts of its body is fine. Its insides disappear. We see its rib cage.
Right.
And then the creepiest part, if that's not creepy enough, is it freezes in a position.
Yes.
It doesn't collapse to the ground. It gets frozen in whatever position it was in when this happened.
So
very unnaturally. It's not just a dead body. It's not just that it died. It crystallized almost into a weird position where it was stuck.
To sum it up, this is a very unpleasant looking death.
I mean, if you're listening to us, you've seen it. So I don't need to describe it too far because you know what I'm talking about because you've seen it. I hope you've watched the episode before listening to us.
Yes.
It's weird.
Yeah.
Whatever it's doing, it's unnatural and weird. And I don't think I've ever seen an effect like that on television before.
No, it's pretty gruesome. And it's not a very pleasant way to die for sure. The man in the mask indicates once again, do not cross the line. And I think this kind of emphasizes the point.
They realize now, why. He's not threatening them I'll shoot you if you cross the line. He's telling them, you cannot cross this line.
Right. And
then he gets in his car.
Yep. Well, before that.
Yeah.
James wants answers, but all he gets is the message, trust no one.
Yeah, don't trust anyone. And
this reminds me of the X-Files.
Who are we not supposed to trust? Each other?
Right.
The people here are we not supposed to trust?
Mm-hmm.
You? Are we not supposed to trust you, gas mask man? Because we don't know who the heck you are.
Yeah.
Who else is there? What's going on?
I don't know.
Excuse me.
Kind of makes me wonder if there's going to be more people at play here.
I mean, there must be at some point other people at play, but yeah. Why should we trust the person telling us not to trust anyone?
Right. Yeah, by definition, if you say trust no one, that includes the guy telling you not to trust anyone.
So, I'm not positive, but I'm thinking this is the character of McNabb.
Right.
Who's credited in both of these episodes. Rob Morgan plays McNabb. Who I'm assuming is Gas Mask Dude because we didn't have another character in these episodes.
Right, yeah.
Rob Morgan was in the movie Smile,
which we will be talking about in a couple weeks.
We are talking about this month.
Yep,
one of our movies releasing for October, Halloween month. So be on the lookout for our Smile discussion.
Mm-hmm.
He was in 16 episodes of Stranger Things. He was in Don't Look Up.
Right. That's the Netflix movie.
And he was in 5 episodes of This Is Us.
Oh, really?
He played Councilman Saul Brown.
I knew that. Yeah.
So I think that's Gas Mask Dude.
Yeah, that makes sense.
I'm assuming at some point we'll see him without his gas mask.
I mean, we did briefly, but it was...
we didn't see his face,
right.
though. We just... Yeah. It was... He's very mysterious, this character. So far, at least.
So he drives off. Doyle's... Not Doyle. Wow, why did I... Okay. Donald's wife insists she wants to go home and won't be talked out of it. The men notice Claire outside, walking with the dog, towards the line, and they run to try to stop her. And basically, Claire, the dog that she has in her possession, runs off. Apparently, the dog knows...
Duke is the dog.
Knows something is up.
Yeah, so the dog runs off, and she keeps walking.
Right.
Like, nothing's stopping this woman.
We're literally...
Maybe, go after your dog.
Or the fact that these men are shouting at you.
That your husband's screaming at you to stop.
Right.
Maybe notice, your surroundings a little bit.
Yeah, but she doesn't listen. She ends up crossing the line. Doyle's arm...
So he reaches... Her husband... His name's not Doyle.
I don't understand why I started referring to him as Doyle in my notes.
Donald reaches out for her. She, pushes him away. And in doing so, she fell backwards across the line. And him reaching out to her, his hand crossed the line.
Yeah, his arm goes all bloody. I'm not sure.
Super creepy.
And meanwhile, you see the same...
the flesh and skin... His hand disappears, basically.
Right.
Very quickly. It rotted 100 years in 5 seconds.
Maybe that's what's going on.
Some kind of
time dilation, yeah.
And then they just watch in horror as Claire, she follows suit of the dog. Half her body basically disappears. The bones are exposed. Part of her looks fine, though. It's not uniform. It's not the entire body. You can still see who she is. You can still make her out. And then she's just, again, frozen in a super unnatural position.
Either way, she's very, very dead.
She's very, very dead.
So we're not going to be seeing Claire anymore in the series.
Claire is gone. Sorry, Claire, you did not make it home to call 911.
Nope.
She really wanted to leave, though, and I guess she did?
Well, I guess, yeah, I mean, she doesn't have to hang out with these people anymore.
Right.
But she doesn't get to hang out with anybody ever again.
So we cut to Maggie and Arlo and the teacup with the marbles in it. And Maggie hears this commotion. She tells Arlo they need to go downstairs now. He grabs a dictionary.
Yeah.
And he's reciting words again. He says, run, run, hide, nice man, gunshot. So he's telling us we can trust Gas Mask Dude.
Okay.
I think.
Yeah.
Because he said, nice man, gunshot.
Yeah. He's a very nice man. He warned us about crossing the line.
And then he finds a word in the dictionary. Trap. So whatever this possession creature is, didn't know the word trap. He looked up the word trap.
Mm-hmm.
And he again says, run, man, hide, trapped.
Yes. So that's very foreboding.
And then he speaks as himself again.
Yep.
And he says we need to hide.
Mm-hmm.
Mom asked him, who said that? And Arlo replied, the man in my head. He says, we're trapped here and we need to hide because it's coming and it kills everything that gets in its way.
Whoa.
It's coming. I don't know what it is.
Right.
So it sounds like whatever's in his head is trying to be helpful.
It does sound that way. Yes.
And it sounds like whatever's in his head is saying we can trust Gas Mask Dude.
Mm-hmm.
Although both of these seem like evil bad forces at the same time.
Right.
At least on the surface.
And that's where episode...
then cue the song My Little Lighthouse, which leads us out of the episode.
Yes, that's it. That's it for episode 2. So
yeah, whatever is possessing him is learning English.
Mm-hmm.
And is having a hard time communicating. But it sounds like Arlo's understanding him better, I guess, because he's in his head.
Yeah.
Like maybe feeling his thoughts without like actual words to express them, I guess.
Gotcha.
But yeah, it appears to be a helpful force.
Yeah, it sounds like it's warning them that bad things are coming.
Right. But what do you think happened with Carmen? Like the woman in the woods. She was tied up. She had very serious injuries. Her stomach was cut open.
Maybe this is the end of a similar situation that she was in as this family. Maybe she was trapped in the dome or whatever this is, the teacup as this series goes, and everybody that she was involved with is now dead. Maybe that she was bound up by this family to try to keep her
safe.
Yeah. Because they thought she was possessed in some kind of fashion. They were trying to, or maybe keep themselves safe because they thought that she was a danger to them. And yeah, that's my guess is that whatever.
It's like there's a story, right, that we didn't get to hear that's already happening.
Right. I'm thinking that whatever situation this family is currently in, that Carmen character already was in. That's my best guess.
Now, McNabb, I'm assuming this is McNabb, gas mask dude. Is the gas mask so he's on the other side of the line.
Right.
Is the gas mask what's protecting him from whatever the heck that is?
I assume maybe the only way that would work is if breathing it in is what causes the problem.
Or is it the act of crossing the line?
Maybe.
The problem. Because he took his gas mask off.
He did
but he was in the car. But I'm pretty sure the car is not airtight.
No.
So if the air itself is deadly, I don't think you'd be safe taking that gas mask off just because you're in the car.
Right.
But also then, what's the point of the gas mask?
Right.
If it's not something in the air.
Yeah. I mean,
was it just to hide your identity?
Maybe.
Is like the imagery of the gas mask is super creepy.
It is. And maybe that was the point in itself. Maybe the gas mask is just decorative and it means to like freak people out.
To get these people to pay attention to him?
Yeah, but then if you didn't need the gas mask, all you could be like, hey, look, don't cross this line and you're going to die.
Right.
But
what's with the gas mask? Why is he wearing a gas mask? Why does he take it off in the car and he's okay? I'm confused by the gas mask and the he's on the other side of the line. He's fine.
Yeah.
So what's that about?
Well,
right?
I'm presuming
something about that.
Presumably, we're going to get more information on this in episode 3 and 4,
which I can't wait to watch.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I'm invested. And then we'll already be at the halfway point by then.
Right.
Although I'm pretty sure that even by the end of the season, we're going to have a lot of questions still.
Yeah, your contact at Peacock?
Peacock?
Or is it NBC contact?
Peacock.
Okay. So your contact suggested that this is going to be more than a one-season show. It's not like a mini-series where they...
Right. This is a season 1. So hopefully it gets picked up for a season 2.
Yep.
Because I feel like we're building a bigger story here than they could possibly tell us in 8 episodes.
Right. Yeah. Absolutely.
Yeah, but I enjoyed these episodes.
Yeah, interesting. I'm intrigued, definitely.
I feel like I know the characters now. You need to work on knowing the characters a little bit because you don't know any of their names even. But I feel invested in these families and their relationships with each other and this very not great situation they're in. Like, forget the fact that, if you cross this line, you die, and there's no electricity, and we don't know what the heck's going on or why it's happening. Just this group of people being stuck together feels kind of explosive.
Yeah.
That they're all going to be stuck at the Chenoweth farm now.
Well, we already know that some of these dynamics are not exactly good.
Right. There's some not great stuff happening.
Right.
Donald is a loose cannon. His wife just died.
Yeah.
And what is going on with his hand?
Right. Is it going to be useful or is it just gone?
Is it going to keep spreading? Do they need to cut his hand off like Walking Dead style? Or do we have to stop the infection? So, I mean, that looks super painful. Bad.
It kind of reminded me of a Simpsons episode where there was this it was a treehouse horror episode where towards the end, it was like a brief segment where basically he wakes up and they think, oh, they're good. And then this thing comes in, the air comes in, and it's a virus that turns your insides out. Kind of reminds me of that. Maybe it wasn't disintegration so much as the body turning it inside out.
Yeah, I had a hard time describing what the heck was happening here.
Yeah.
Other than bad.
Yes.
You don't want that to happen to you, whatever it is.
No. I could safely say I do not want that to happen to me, for sure.
But I got a feeling it's going to happen some more.
Probably.
You know, we're only 2 episodes in.
Right, yep. More people have to get...
More animals, maybe. There's a lot of animals around.
Yeah. The dogs seem to know not to cross that line.
Right!
Yeah.
That's a good point. The dog knew. All the animals have been acting crazy, right? The animals know something's up.
Yeah.
The people, not so smart.
Right. I mean, that's usually the case. The animals usually have better senses than us humans.
I mean, that horse that injured himself, Scout, like, was he trying to kill himself? What's he doing?
To avoid this situation?
Yeah. Like, what was Scout doing?
Maybe the horse just freaked and then that was an accident?
Could he even be bigger than that? Like, whatever happened to the house was a catalyst to get this family over here?
Perhaps.
To put these people in the same place?
It could be exactly, I mean, like Brumville, where everyone that's there. Is
meant to be there.
So it could be a situation where all these people were kind of pushed in this
Did the dog, Duke, go to this family's property to get its owners there?
Possibly.
Like, not necessarily by its own volition, but it was drawn there specifically to get these characters together. Or is it just happenstance that here's who's here?
Yeah.
Because it seems like their property is very busy all of a sudden. You don't think there's normally just like 2 other families on their property at any given time? Probably
not. But then again, you know, they are a veterinarian service, and like, where is this place even?
It's a farm. This is taking place in Georgia.
Georgia, okay.
The series description mentions rural Georgia.
Right, yeah.
It was filmed in Atlanta. Yeah. So we're in...
Looks like a farm community of some type.
We're in a farm,
yeah. Okay, so do we have anything else to say before concluding?
I don't know what we're doing. I have no idea.
Yeah,
I'm confused.
I am at a loss
and
of
intrigued.
That. Yes.
And I want to know what happens next.
Yeah.
So now we can watch episodes 3 and 4.
Yes, we have the screeners for that.
We, of course, don't watch ahead so that we can have this conversation and talk about what's going on. And now that we've talked about it, we can go start prepping for next week's show.
Yay.
So we get to watch 3 and 4.
Yeah.
But we want to know what you guys think of
absolutely.
Teacup.
If you leave a comment about the podcast, about the episodes, we will definitely shout you out. I mean, provided, of course, that the comments, you know, are not hateful or, you know, mean-spirited. If they're legitimate, critical comments, we will definitely shout you out in the next podcast.
So we want to know all of your thoughts on Teacup. We want to know your theories about what's going on. We want to know everything that you have to say.
Yeah.
And we want to have a conversation about it.
Absolutely.
So chime in down in the comments.
Stacie can be reached at...
I can be reached on Twitter, X, Instagram, and Threads at TVN Coupon Talk.
If you like this video and want to support the channel, there are a number of ways to do so. You can follow me on Twitter at Core Productions. You can join one of my Core Productions Facebook pages. You can buy something from the Core Productions store on Zazzle. You can buy me a coffee. You can join the Core Productions membership for 99 cents a month. And of course, you can like, share, and comment on this video, as well as subscribing to the channel and hitting the bell so that you're notified when new content drops, which there will be a lot of it this month. This is Dave and Stacie from Core Productions, signing off.